this video, we're going to use trigonometric functions in real-life applications. So in this first example, we're going to use trigonometry to find the height of a tree. Now, palm trees are easy to transplant relative to similarly sized broad-leaved trees. At one tree farm, palm trees are harvested once they reach a height of 20 feet. Now, suppose that a farm worker determines that the distance along the ground from his position to the base of the palm tree is 22 feet. He then uses an instrument called a clinometer held at an eye level of 6 feet to measure the angle of elevation to the top of the tree as 30.2 degrees. Is the tree tall enough to harvest? When we're talking about things like angle of elevation, we're talking about from our eyesight looking up. So that would be our angle of elevation. And that's why here we have an angle of elevation of 30.2 degrees. Now, to find the height of the tree, we're going to use right triangle to find the vertical leg y. But then we need to remember that we need to add 6 to it. Why is that? Well, because the man is 6 feet tall, right? So here we have 6 feet, plus we have the remaining height of our tree. Let's use a different color for that. And together, that makes up our height, total height of our tree. So we have the adjacent leg, which we know is 22 feet. And what we're looking for is our opposite leg. So opposite and adjacent are going to be tangent. So we're going to use the tangent of our theta equals our opposite over our adjacent. So here we can say that the tangent of 30.2 degrees equals our opposite, which we're going to go ahead and call y, divided by our adjacent, which is 22. So let's just come back here really fast. Our opposite that we're looking at is this y value. We're talking about the y right here. Because to get to h, all we have to do is then add the 6 to that. So we're looking for y. So to solve this, I'm going to multiply both sides by 22. And that's going to give me that y equals 22 times the tangent of 30.2 degrees. And when we plug that into the calculator, that's going to give us a value of about 12.8 feet. But remember, we're not looking for y, we're looking for h. And h is supposed to be y plus the 6 feet. Right? Y plus our 6 feet. So y plus 6 feet. So our height is going to be approximately the 12.8, that's our y value, plus our 6 feet. So the height of our tree is going to be about 18.8 feet, which means that really our tree is not ready to harvest. Let's take a look at another example. Let's use some trigonometry in aeronautical science. So here we have a pilot on an airplane flying at an altitude of 1 mile, and it sights a point at the end of a runway, and the angle of depression is 3 degrees. What is the distance d from the plane to the point on the runway? And round our answer to the nearest tenth of a mile. So here it's talking about angle of depression. Angle of depression would mean instead of looking up, we're using our line of sight, which is right there. Instead of looking up, we're looking down. So we're not finding the angle that's inside of the triangle this time. We're finding this space angle, this extra angle piece here, right? Finding that angle there. Which means that in order to find this angle, we need the complement because together these form 90 degrees. So we're going to take our 90 degrees and we're going to subtract that 3 degrees and find 87 degrees. So this theta here that we need to use for our triangle is going to be 87 degrees. And we're trying to find the distance from the plane to the runway. So that distance is right here. And that's our hypotenuse, right? our hypotenuse. So we're looking for our hypotenuse, and we were given our adjacent side. So if we have the adjacent side and we're looking for the hypotenuse, we could use either cosine or we could use secant, but we're going to use cosine. So we have the cosine of our 87 degrees is our adjacent side divided by our hypotenuse. So our adjacent side divided by our hypotenuse. And we're going to solve from here. So we're going to multiply both sides by d. And that's going to give us d times the cosine of 87 equals 1. Then we'll divide both sides by the cosine of 87. So that goes away. And now we have d equals 1 divided by the cosine of 87. And when we plug that into the calculator, we're going to get that d is approximately 19.1. Let's make that 19 a little bit better. 19.1. And so that tells us that the plane is about 19.1 miles from the end of the runway.